It's a new movement that's bringing more and more protesters out of their homes and into the streets. Hear why people across the nation are demanding a return to TV theme songs that explain the show's whole deal. And later, we're going to show you how to clean out that little straw thing in your water bottle that's always covered in mold, and then how to properly prepare that mold as a delicious afternoon snack. From The Onion and Onion Public Radio, I'm Leslie Price, and this is The Topical. Stick around after the break, unless of course you want to be ignorant. That's your call. Back in a moment. In the shadow of a global pandemic, life feels increasingly unpredictable and stressful, with many still holding out for things to return to pre-COVID days. That desire for normalcy has prompted Americans to take to the streets this past week as part of a growing movement calling for the return of television theme songs that explain the show's whole deal. OPR Entertainment protest correspondent Marcy Hammond joins me now. Marcy, so many Americans seem to be losing patience with the day-to-day struggle of figuring out a TV show.
That's right, Leslie. Americans of all races, religions, sexualities, and socioeconomic class have united in their demands that television shows go back to the days when episodes began with a catchy tune and lyrics explaining the entire concept of a show. Thousands of activists marched through LA and New York yesterday, carrying signs with messages like, "Doctor Who, you tell me," and chanting, "What's this show? We don't know." I spoke with one of the leaders of the movement, Erica Hamels. Here's what she had to say.
All these shows today have theme songs with no lyrics, or songs with lyrics that have absolutely nothing to do with the story. When self-quarantine started, I watched all 5 seasons of The Wire, waiting for someone to walk through a garden like the theme song suggested. It was a huge waste of time. I never had any idea what was going on. We the people demand that at least 75% of shows be preceded by a tight 1-minute display of music and visual clues that lets us know what we're getting into, with the hope that it will be 100% within the next 4 years.
Wow, what a passionate plea for transparency and clarity.
Yeah, it's clear that Americans are longing for the heyday of musical exposition that told us that Gilligan's Island was supposed to be a 3-hour tour, or explained how the Fresh Prince had his life turned upside down.
Alerted us that the 2 women in Sister Sister were sisters.
Exactly.
But Marcy, how has this issue been able to get so out of hand?
Well, Hamill says that things have been on a downward spiral since ABC's TGIF lineup was canceled in 2000. So it's been almost 2 decades without a system of checks and balances to make sure the American populace knows the plot of the show they're watching from minute 0. Here's Hamels again.
I cannot tell you how many times I've turned on my television and thought, what? Who are these people? What is their relationship to one another? How did they get into the situation that the entire premise of the show is based on? Who's a jokester? Who's the sassy one? Is there a dad? Are there 2 dads? Stop making us figure it out as the story unfolds. I'm looking at you, HBO. Your stylish, instrumental covers of popular songs in different musical genres are too cerebral. The melodic, wordless opening titles are even worse. Enough is enough.
You know, for the first 2 seasons, I thought Westworld was going to be about pouring milk on people and animals, and I still have no idea what the show is about.
Well, you're not alone, Leslie. Protesters I spoke to feel similarly.
I hate when opening credits are just a title card. That doesn't tell me anything. I already know the name of the show. What happened to slapping some fun, upbeat music over a city skyline?
Yeah, fuck subtext!
We want a Perfect Strangers opening where the plot of cousins from different parts of the world becoming roommates is communicated so clearly, so many times that even a moron gets it.
So viewers want television executives to go back to spoon-feeding them narratives.
You got it. And when put like that, it seems like a more than reasonable response to years of neglect. They're fighting for their right to slip into a comfortable stupidity and be entertained in this stressful climate.
Well, how are network executives responding to these demands?
Well, executives at ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu are tough to budge in the immediate future, but many are putting together investigative committees that promise to bring new, straightforward content as soon as 2022. Until then, networks will be airing reruns of old, easy-to-follow Saturday morning cartoons.
Marcy, I have to say, hearing this report has opened my eyes a bit. I think part of what's important during these times is not just recognizing the sweeping injustices, but also taking responsibility for your role in it. For too long, we here at The Topical, with our lyricless opening theme song, have been complicit, and we admit that our show is part of the larger opening credit problem. But that ends here, and it ends now. This is topical. We tell you everything that you need to know, and there's so much you don't know because you are stupid, incredibly stupid. But that's all right, we'll read you the news. Say hi and bye, that sums up show. Please like and subscribe. The topical with Leslie Price.
Well, I guess that's a good step in the right direction, Leslie.
Thank you, Marcy. Pretty proud of myself for putting in the effort. It's OPR's Marcy Hammond. Back in a moment. Founding father, philosopher, diplomat, and inventor, Benjamin Franklin is indeed one of the greatest minds in living history. The image of Franklin standing soaked in a thunderstorm, flying a kite attached to a metal key is memorialized in children's books and celebrated as the birth of a new age of technology. And now historians say a newly uncovered diary belonging to Franklin reveals that his iconic kite experiment may have actually been an early attempt at erotic electrostimulation. Here with more is OPR historical correspondent Joyce Everett. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Leslie.
Joyce, this new set of writings sounds like quite a discovery.
That's right. Scholars at the University of Massachusetts say they verified the authenticity of a set of diaries that Franklin kept from 1750 to 1755. In the diaries, Franklin goes into great detail on a revolutionary theory that lightning is electricity and that it could be trained to flow from the clouds to his erect penis, providing immense pleasure. Here's Professor Douglas Hobbs.
Kinksters in Franklin's time had a rudimentary understanding of static electricity. They knew, for instance, if they shuffled along the floor in their socks, that touching their dickhead or clit onto a doorknob while masturbating could make their orgasms more intense. But Franklin actually took the concept a step further. Allow me to read this diary entry dated May 10th, 1752. I had for some time, in my hornier moments, supposed that electricity flows around us like an invisible river, and that this movement of energy could be applied to a man's turgid member, resulting in a climax so powerful, his brain drowns in a bliss like none has ever experienced.
Fascinating.
Yes, Franklin wrote that just hours before his famous kite experiment. According to experts, the deviant founding father built a large kite, fastened a key to the string, and then secured the entire apparatus to the tip of his erection before walking out into a storm to test his hypothesis. Here's Professor Hobbs again.
These diary entries add so much insight into this discovery. We've always known that when lightning struck the kite, Franklin felt a shock, but reading his account of the moment really paints a fuller picture. In that instant, the string felt quite hot, singeing my curly thatch of pubic hair. But simultaneously, the key, now containing the bolt's energy, tapped my cock and balls. I promptly fell to the ground in ecstasy, my semen rushing out so forcefully it splashed all across my chest and chin.
Incredible. He truly was the father of invention.
He was. The experiment proved electroerotic stimulation was possible, and very soon using electricity to come was all the rage among the upper classes. Franklin spent several more decades experimenting and writing about shocking his genitals, nipples, even his asshole.
These diaries certainly deepen our understanding of Benjamin Franklin. Do they contain new information on other parts of his life?
They do. The Benjamin Franklin Historical Society has possession of the diaries, and they say that this discovery is just the tip of the iceberg.
Ooh.
There's entries regarding his stint as a sex ambassador to the French kink community, drawings on using the glass harmonica to crush testicles. They've even been able to attribute several common phrases to Franklin.
Ooh, like what?
2 in the pink, 1 in the stink, hurtin' for a squirtin', poontang.
Oh, I say those all the time.
Yes, these everyday idioms are sprinkled all throughout Franklin's private writings. He was quite the wordsmith.
Just goes to show how prolific he truly was. Will there be a way for those who are interested to read the newly discovered writings for themselves?
While the diaries won't be on display anytime soon, the Historical Society website has an online interactive diary that users can listen to, along with an animation of Franklin attempting to secure the kite string to his fat chode, which evidence suggests was indeed a full-on can of tuna.
Wow, this job lets me learn something new every day. Thank you, Joyce. For more information on the history of electrocuting yourself into orgasmic ecstasy, you can visit our website. Back in a moment. Well, it turned out all those hostages died, so it doesn't look like we'll be getting cleaner audio files back anytime soon. So instead, we're going to turn our attention to a more heartwarming story today about a group of young entrepreneurs raising money for a great cause. OPR's Children's Organizations correspondent Jenna Resnick has the scoop.
Hello, would you like to buy some cookies?
Outside the local Walmart in Bexley, Ohio, members of Girl Scout Troop 242 are greeting excited customers and cashing in by selling dozens of boxes of everyone's favorite treat, Girl Scout cookies.
Here you go. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Every year, Girl Scout troops around the country, including Troop 242, donate a majority of their proceeds to local charities as a way to give back to their communities. And after raising over $100,000 in cookie sales this year, Troop 242 decided once again to put their money to good use.
It's just been a really hard year for everyone here, and we knew we wanted to do something special. So we said, fuck it, it's our money. Let's buy a Corvette.
That was 12-year-old Gwen Newton and the sounds of the candy-painted Corvette she now co-owns with her fellow scouts. The troop says their mission is to empower young women, and that there are few things more empowering than putting the pedal to the floor with the top down. But just how were these scouts able to sell enough cookies to score this sweet piece of metal?
We just threw down a couple folding chairs in front of Walmart, and the cookies practically sold themselves. Easiest $100,000 I ever made.
And what would you say to someone who bought a box of cookies from you with the expectation that you'd donate it to a charitable cause?
We did donate to a cause. We got a set of bitchin' wheels. Are you gonna get in or what?
This is the hardest working group of girls I've seen in my 20 years with the Scouts. Last year, we built a wheelchair ramp at a community theater. The year before that, we donated canned goods to a local food pantry. But this year...
That's troop leader Jen Singer, who stressed to me that this was no impulse buy. They did their research, ultimately deciding against the more affordable Chevy Camaro because of its poor fuel efficiency. The Corvette also won out thanks to its 6-liter V8 engine and 400-plus horsepower.
The girls wanted a few more ponies under the hood, and who could blame them? And considering all the add-on features, they got it for a pretty good price.
I was hoping I could just trade that tubby suit at the dealership, a couple of boxes of Thin Mints, but the son of a bitch wasn't budging.
So, did you have to pay the full $100,000 for the car?
No, probably closer to 75.
Our gals know how to negotiate.
The Scouts have run up a considerable bill upgrading the car with a new spoiler, racing tires, and a can of nitro. But to offset the costs, Singer has introduced new badges for oil changing and routine maintenance.
They're learning valuable life lessons. Popping the hood every weekend to keep her running smooth and...
Hey, you want to go, buddy?
Okay, now calm down. You haven't earned your street racing badge yet.
I don't need a fucking badge to lap this guy. He's toast. Woo! Yeah, she's got this. Come on, torch his ass.
Girls.
2, 4, 2.
Fortunately, everyone came out of the accident unscathed, and the Scouts are already selling boxes to fund repairs. So if you've got a hankering for tag-alongs and a taste for burned rubber, you know where to turn. For OPR, I'm Jenna Resnick.
Just a wonderful story. Thank you, Jenna. Can't wait to cross paths with those young ladies out on the road to see if their bitch-ass little Corvette can keep up with my '79 Challenger. I got a pretty good feeling I'll be the one earning the street racing brownie badge when that day comes. We'll be back in a moment. Well, I'm certainly thankful that you all at least stuck around to listen to what else I have to say, or at the very least I'm thankful that if you didn't stick around, I have no real way of knowing. Either way, here's what else you need to know today. New consequences today for a police officer accused of killing an unarmed black man. The Austin, Texas police officer, who is accused of killing an unarmed protester back in April, could face the rest of his life behind a desk. It may sound like a harsh punishment, but it's good to see these officers finally being held accountable for their actions. And the Olympics are currently postponed until the summer of 2021, but some athletes may soon find themselves unable to even qualify. World Athletics, the international governing body for sports and athletics, announced last week that it would begin to crack down on all female athletes with naturally high levels of spunk. According to the ruling, any high-energy female athlete with a natural can-do attitude will need to take approved medications to reduce their high levels of moxie if they wish to qualify for competition. And finally, a bit of late-breaking news to report. As of this morning, all across the nation... Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, no. Oh, not that. Oh, God. Oh, my God. We need to stop the show. I'm Leslie Price, and this has been The Topical. And for God's sakes, if you have a family, tell them you love them. You'll hear from me again when it's safe. Is this true? Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, my God, no. No. The news doesn't stop just because this YouTube video has. For even more on all the worst things happening in the world right now, listen and subscribe to The Topical on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, you insatiable news freaks.